So, once the Mexica have fallen, once the Aztec Empire has crumbled, what's next? Well, we're familiar with the word conquistador or conqueror, but who were they and what were they about? Well, these guys are essentially military entrepreneurs. This helmet I'm wearing is certainly iconic, but here's how it actually worked economically. A conquistador was essentially licensed by the crown to go into a particular region and attempt to conquer it, and conquer it on behalf of the crown. Now the crown got a cut, they got a fifth, or the quinto, and the conquistador kept the rest. So if you're an aspiring conquistador, you needed to round up a good horse, some pretty decent armor, and go to work. The idea was whatever you conquered, whatever you explored, you had a claim on. And once you had that claim, you could then set up shop. None of these guys were particularly interested in settling in the New World. The New World was, well, icky. They had wives and families and history back home in Spain. But it was a great place to make a really big fortune in a hurry if you had guts and you had ambition. So you saw a lot of young men or men on the make, hidalgos, people of noble descent, but not exactly royalty. So these guys wanted to have some sort of social mobility, and the way to do it was to go to the New World and do something amazing. Well, we enter the age of the conquistadors after the fall of Mexico, and what everybody wants to find in the New World is one more Mexico, un otro Mexico. If you're going to go and conquer un otro Mexico, you have to have a license from the crown to commit to an entrada, an entry into realms not yet claimed. Well, sometimes you went south out of Mexico to places like Peru. Others wanted to go north into what everybody referred to as the Great Northern Mystery. Spanish sailors had talked about what they had seen along the coast, and they had, had a few encounters with some coastal Indians that said, you guys don't want to mess with us, but you can't believe how rich it is further inland. So there was always this sort of sense that there might be something really amazing if you just went into the interior of North America. So several people applied for entradas. One of them, Ponce de Leon, claimed that he had found the Fountain of Youth in what is present-day Florida. But there was one guy named Narvaez. Narvaez had kind of been edged out of the great score in Mexico, and he was ready to make his name in his own right. So he said, hey, I would like to go into North America and find un otro Mexico as well, and he gets a license to do so. However, his expedition is absolutely plagued by disaster. Supply ships are blown into the coast by a hurricane. The Indians are particularly hostile everywhere he lands in western Florida, the Gulf Coast, present-day Alabama. And finally, his men have had all they can stand, and they mutiny. Narvaez said, great, I'll take y'all all home. We have no boats. So they slaughter their horses and literally make leather boats, little tubs of waterproof leather that the men all crowd into and then head out through the Gulf breakers into the Gulf of Mexico, hoping to coast all the way back into friendlier shores. Somewhere near the Texas coast, the men had finally had it with Narvaez, and he was afraid for his life. So he took to sleeping every night in his boat offshore, anchored. Well, one night his men just went out there in the middle of the night and cut the anchor rope. So Narvaez woke up and he had drifted off out into the Gulf of Mexico and into history and oblivion. The survivors tried to do what they could along the Texas coast, but finally wound up on Galveston Island. There they encounter local Indians, probably the precursors to the Karankawa, and these Indians all essentially take them as captives and slaves. At that point in their journey, the Spanish thought that that was about the best deal they were going to get. And so off they went into the interior. Of these survivors, a few score, only 3 emerge a few years later to tell the tale.